The purpose of this blog is to explain, of course, what is OOP, and there are some things that you should understand and how to use the OOP. OOP is applicable to different types of programming technology. Well, of course, what are the things that you need to start with your OOP? And of course, you need, of course, a browser. At the same time, you need a compiler, or maybe if you have the internet, then you can start your OOP on the fly. So what are the technology for the OOP? Like for example, if you want to start off your program, well, of course, we have different types of platform. Like for example, we have the program is Java online. You can use this to start your OOP. And there are lots of tools also that brings your OOP into life. Well, you can use different types of IDE, integrated development environment. At the same time, you can use, of course, the different, Java compilers. Okay, what are these compilers? We have the Kodiva. Of course, my favorite one is BlueJ. You can have also the Intel the IDE. What else? Well, of course, you have the Eclipse, the NetBeans, and among other things. Now, there are lots of compilers that you can use. Well, you have also the Visual Studio, but these are things that you can, exhume your code by means of OOP. Our target right now is to write a program in OOP using the Java. But again, of course, OOP is not only applicable for Java, it is applicable to different programming languages such as PHP, JavaScript. What else? You have also your Python programming. Okay, how to start, of course, the OOP. All you have to do is to open your programs. This is my favorite one. You can use the online Java compiler. Okay, as you can see, we are now in programs. But before that, let us first discuss what is OOP. And speaking up about OOP, okay, let us go right here. WT schools, and we have here Java OOP. Okay, let's make it simple and clear to all of us. OOP stands for Object-Oriented Programming. So OOP is totally different when you're writing a program, a regular program, or what you call procedural programming. Okay, object-oriented programming has several advantages over procedural programming. Number one is faster and easier to execute. It provides a clear structure for the programs, helps to keep the Java code dry, meaning to say don't repeat yourself. You can reiterate the codes all over again to maintain, of course, your code. And of course, OOP makes it possible to create full reusable applications with less code, shorter development time. Okay, let us go right here. So if we um, discuss about OOP, we have here the terms. We have the classes and the objects. Classes are and objects are the two main aspects of object-oriented programming. So let us make this simple. For example, if you want to create a program, well, of course, we have here the class name. So the class name, this is the blueprint of the program. And objects is a template of your class. You can see that we have here the objects for the class. The name of the class is fruit, and the objects are apple, banana, and mango. Same thing with car. The objects are the following: Volvo, Audi, and Toyota. And I think you can now, you could understand now what is um, the purpose of classes and objects. Okay. Now to start with the programming chores, well, of course, all you need to open your Programmist or any online editor. You can use the online GDB, or maybe you have your aside from online GDB, you can use the JDoodle for Java. Now let us start first with a very simple program. Okay, that will create a graphic, or not a graphic, but this will manifest on how to use the structured programming. Okay, structured programming, or we call procedural programming. Okay. Okay. So if we have here the procedural programming, so what is the difference between OOP and procedural programming? Let us go back right here. Procedural programming is about writing procedures or methods that performs operations on the data, while object-oriented programming is about creating objects. That's about objects that contains both data and methods. So if you're talking about methods now, what is a method? These are, we can call it part of the class wherein it provides bastion to our programs to run it in different ways. So in using the methods, we have the built-in methods, and we have, of course, the predefined methods. It's just like a function. I will show you how to write your own methods. But again, we need to write first the um, the myth of using the procedural programming. For example, we have your class, and we have the main, and then we have your public static void main. We have the string args. Okay, there's no need to explain about this name because this is the calling part of the program, right? So if you want to write here is a very simple program. Okay, as you can see, we have the bracket, open brace and close braces. This is where create the blocks for the code for the OOP. But again, this is not OOP. This is what you call procedural programming. So we'll be writing our first statement right here. For example, int x equals 10. And then we just what you call this simple print it out. And then there you have it. So we have here, of course, x. Now let us run this code. Now, in using the online program, we are using the main as our class because this is how the online compilers or the interpreter, what you accepting, of course, the name of the class. But in other programming, but in other environment of your OP, you can use different types of names. Okay, so let us run this program. So the answer right now is 10. So this is part of your what? Procedure programming is about what? Procedures or methods that performs operations on the data. So we don't have here the methods, but again, we're using only a straightforward statement, right? We don't have the method right here. So for now, we just tackle on how to start with the OP by means of class. This is the main class. Okay. At the same time, if we have the field members right here, we have the variable of x that is integer. As you can see, we directly write a program and print the value of x. What if we transfer this in OOP? How to work out with the OOP? It's very simple. In OOP, we need to create the objects. Okay. And at the same time, the objects is just like a template of your class. So the purpose of this program is to print the value of x. The same thing when you're writing on the OOP. But again, we won't touch the methods. We are only what you call this, we need to identify the class and the objects. I will erase this thing. Okay. All right. So how to start with your OOP program? It's very simple because according to W3 schools, okay, OOP is faster and easier to execute. Okay. So we need to go back right here. We need to declare our class. Okay. Class, let's say. Now, we need to use this example as part of our class. We have the fruits. So it is, transparent that fruit has different types of objects. We have the apple, banana, mango. At the same time, we have the roots, the stems, something like that. So we identify the program as a class. And this is now the blueprint of the program. Therefore, this fruit has its own field members. And these field members are the compositions of different objects. And these are the different fruits. Okay. Now, let us start with fruit. Okay. Always remember that grammar is very important. So class fruit. The purpose of this is we are creating our own classifications of the class that is fruit. And now we need to provide, of course, the name of the fruit in our class. So let us print this fruit. Okay. So we have the following objects. Okay. Display the objects of this fruit. All right. It's very simple, right? So what will happen is we need to display the content of this fruit. We need to use that system, that out, that print line, and we need to say apple. Okay. System, that out, that print line, and we have here, of course, grapes. These are the field members, or what we call, these are, of course, the objects coming from your, okay, let us correct this one. It has glitch, the period. And we have the last one, okay, we say banana. There you have it. As you can see, we have, of course, different objects right here. So objects are printed. After the class fruit, well, of course, we have to define our constructor. Public fruit. So what's the purpose of this constructor? Okay. So the constructor will serve as our base here. At the same time, this will refer, of course, to the main class that is the fruit, where we create and describe our intentions really to write this following, following outputs: apple, grapes, and banana. Now, the first rule, if you are using, of course, the name of the fruit or any class name, it has the same name with your constructor. So this is part of the constructor. Whatever is the name of your class, that is also the name of the constructor. If you run this program, nothing's happened because you haven't yet called, of course, this program in the main program. Therefore, we need to what? We need to create, of course, or instantiate the class. Now, there are two things how to write your class. You can use the class at the top of the code, or maybe you put this class at the bottom of the code. But in this case, I'm putting, of course, the class at the bottom of my code because there is, a restriction or, a strict, compliance using the program is. So from time to time, you need to check, okay, if you can write at the top or at the bottom. But again, they are all the same. But this time, I will use the class main or the public class main. Now, if you write this in actual programming, actual, if you have an actual compiler, this could be saved. You can save this as what? Fruit.java. But in this case, well, of course, because we are using the online program, we can blend these codes to the main program. Okay. So public class main, and after that, okay, public static void main string args, and then you write the program here. This is the only calling program. The mother class is fruit. This is the main class. Therefore, we need to conceive, or we need to create the object, or the instance of the fruit. Remember here, we have here, of course, the instance of the class. So these are the apple, banana, and mango. And we have here the fruit. This time we need to create the instance of the class, or any name that represents the instance of the class. The instance of the class that is the reference to the main class or to the fruit class. What will happen? So we need to create now. So fruit, let's say you just put any name right here. Like for example, I will put here object equals what? New fruit. There you have it. So this is now the constructor, and this is the name of the class. What is the name of the class? This is the name of the class. The purpose of this program is to print, of course, the following: apple, grapes, and banana. As you can see, we have two classes right now. This is the calling class, and this is our what you call this, our mother class. The mother class conceived the object. So the purpose of this is to allocate new informations for the fruit class. This is the fruit class. The purpose of this fruit class is to print apple, grapes, and banana. If you run it, we can see that we have three outputs. Okay. So we have here the compilation, enrich, end of file. What does this mean? So we need to provide here, of course, the closing brace for the main program. Okay. So the output is apple, grapes, and banana.